All right, 99.9 Punk World Radio FM. You guys already know what time it is. And right here, we are joined by Ontario, Canada's own Pembroke, Ontario, that is. We actually have Wade of Parliament of Owls right here live on the radio station airwaves. Wade, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. It's a pleasure to speak with you again. I haven't seen you for a couple months, I guess, right?
I believe so. I think it was like a month or so, so it feels like a long time, that G&W show. We didn't really get a chance to really actually talk, man. It was a crazy... I was all over the place, like a run around like a chicken with his head cut off.
Awesome.
But I know you're a busy guy, Wade, so of course I'm not going to take you away from your Saturday night... Sunday night too long.
Sunday,
but
yeah.
What actually, I have to ask, man, what originally inspired you to pursue a career in the music industry initially, man? Because honestly, you were such a talented, gifted individual.
Well, thank you. That's so kind of you. What I guess kind of got me into it, I got into it really late at life. So growing up, kind of the aspiration was to follow a music path. You kind of get caught up in what you should be doing in life. So a little bit more responsible path, getting jobs, trying to work your way up, trying to provide. Then one day you kind of realize how fragile life is. And later in life, you realize that you only get one shot at this. So what am I doing sitting on my ass, not doing what I love to do? So this journey of mine has been very, I guess, brief at the moment. I only kind of decided to put all the eggs in the basket pretty much at the beginning of this year and get back into it. But it's been a good journey. There's been a lot of ups and downs. I tell everybody that this first year of me doing this is kind of my failure year. So I want to make all the mistakes and learn from those and have the following year be a little bit more successful. But yeah, it was later in life, man. You just, you wake up and you say, what the hell am I doing? You know, ultimately, if I continue to, work in management jobs, nobody's going to care. So might as well do something that I love, that I care about, right? Life's too short, man. One day you don't wake up. So do what you love to do.
And I agree, man. It's definitely insane way, especially if you said like government jobs, man. At the end of the day, they don't look at you as a human. They look at you as a number. At the end of the day, you're replaceable, right? But when it comes to your music is definitely not a replaceable aspect, man, because many individuals, after they're long gone, their music still lives on.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody's going to care about my music after I'm gone, but at least this is something I want to do, man. Like I said, life's fragile, so tomorrow's not guaranteed. So do whatever you love. And anybody that listens to this, man, go out and do it. Whatever it is, if you want to be a painter, a plumber, anything like that, and you kind of think that something's holding you back, man, nobody gives a shit. Just, choose to do it and do it with a lot of pride. And that's all I have to say for that, I guess.
And also as well, Wade, I actually read on your website that you actually spent a lot of time moving around in different parts of Canada and established your roots actually in the Seaway City. I was wondering if you can actually just tell us a bit more about your adventures from moving all over Canada, and of course, how did each one of those cities actually perceive your music while you were actually there?
Well, I guess the short story of that is nobody perceived my music because I wasn't making any music. So I had, good group of friends that didn't know that I had any musical talent whatsoever. But I think you get educations on different ways in life, and mine has been through different experiences. That's how I kind of, that's my currency in life, is different experiences that I do. And each city that I lived in, and I've lived in a lot of them, they've all kind of given me, even if it's something negative that I got out of that city, in the silver lining of it, it's helped create exactly who I am. So without bad experiences, I would not be exactly who I am, for better or for worse. But yeah, man, I've lived Halifax, Sudbury, Pembroke, Kingston, Toronto, Ottawa, Grand Prairie, Alberta, the Rocky Mountains, Edmonton. I worked a lot in Texas. I spent a year or so working in Africa. All those little things, like I said, for better or worse, kind of shape exactly who I am. So yeah, that's how I've gained a lot of my experiences. A lot of, meeting different people in different walks of life and stuff like that kind of shape who I am now.
And it must have been just such a difficult transition for any individual going from obviously Canada to Texas, then to Africa. Like, what is the atmosphere and just like living conditions like? Of obviously versus Texas versus Africa, because obviously when you hear Africa, you do sometimes people say it's very gritty to live there. Other people say it actually is a very rich country. You kind of get mixed reviews of individuals that actually had a chance to live over there.
Yeah, I guess, man. Like working in Texas, I love Texas, man. Like I could live there in a second. I think the people are so friendly, and I just love it there. Working in Africa, not to go too long winded with this, it was I worked a couple of months in Tanzania, a little bit of it like on some remote island called Songo Songo. And anybody that knows me that's heard any of the stories about Songo Songo, man, it was an eye-opening experience. But I worked in Dar es Salaam, their capital, and then I worked for a couple months in outside of Johannesburg, South Africa, and both of them were very different to me. I loved it. I missed doing that stuff, man. It was kind of the Wild West. Lots of parts of it were very, very established. That you could open up your eyes and you could think that you're, someplace that's very recognizable. And other times, other places I've been, it was like relating to Pluto. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't relate to a lot of the stuff that I'd see. But man, it was an awesome experience. Like I said, I miss that. I miss that type of work. I miss being in Africa. I hope to someday go back. But it was definitely a lot of wild experiences. The cool thing about it, and maybe to a lot of people it wouldn't be that cool, is I was by myself working the whole time. So, you have nobody really to share experiences with. So people would say like, oh, how was your day? And, you give a short answer because really like what you kind of went through and had to deal with and saw in a day, nobody could really relate to, you know what I mean? So, it was a wild time. It's one of those things that you kind of thought you'd be doing that for a lot longer in your life. So when it's over, you kind of reflect back and say like, oh man, I wish I was still doing that sort of stuff. But hopefully someday, man, I could go back to Dar es Salaam. I could go back to Johannesburg, and hopefully I could see more of the country because it was just absolutely stunning. I enjoyed every second of it, the good, the bad, and the ugly, to be honest.
And also as well, for a 6-month period, you actually released a single every month for 6 months straight. And the stretch actually started with Shallow Holes. I was wondering, what actually originally inspired you to release a song every month for 6 months? And of course, can you tell us a bit more about that very first song, Shallow Holes?
Well, let's just clear it up. I didn't meet that target. I think it was like 4 songs for the first 4 months, and then kind of played shows throughout the summer. And now I'm releasing this new one called No Friend of Mine, and then there'll be another one in January. So just so we're clear, I didn't fulfill all of that obligation, but to go back to the beginning, Shallow Holes was the first one, and I kind of had gotten my feet wet a little bit before that with just making sure that I'd feel comfortable in a studio. So I did a song called Playing Hero. It would have been during the pandemic or so, just so I kind of knew what to expect in a studio. So going into it, I had the song Shallow Holes with the producer that I use, who owns Fusion Studios, Ross Martin. And we kind of stretched a bit of that idea into kind of what you hear today. But that song, I think, is always going to kind of have a little bit of a soft spot for me, because that was kind of, drawing a line in the sand, so to speak, with what I want to do for, the extended period of my life right now.
And especially as well, man, 4 songs, 4 months. Honestly, that's still a great achievement, man, because a lot of individuals, the listeners sometimes might not comprehend what really goes into creating just one song, let alone an entire album. So the fact that you did it for months, 4 consecutive months is such an amazing accomplishment, man. Because you got to think of the production, you got to think about the songwriting, you got to think about perfecting it, making it sound, to your liking to actually release. There's a lot of work that goes into it, and just to get all that done in a mere 30 days, doing it 4 different times, honestly, is such an extraordinary quota to actually make.
Well, thank you. That's very kind of you to say. It was, yeah, it was. Also, like I don't really have any assistants, so it's not like I have peers that I could reach out to and say like, "How would you record this? How do you do that?" So all of it was kind of, going by the seat of my pants of like, I want this sound. How do I make it? I kind of have this melody in my head. How do I get it down? How do I construct a song type of thing? So it was challenging, but it's definitely rewarding, I guess, whenever you could see the finished product and hear some positive feedback on if it sounds good or not.
And also, as well, you actually had the opportunity not too long ago to actually play an acoustic show at the historic Cornwall Jail. I was wondering, how did that opportunity actually come to be for you? And of course, what was it like just performing in this supposedly haunted jail?
Yeah, hey, that's cool that you brought that up, man. I was really proud of that. I kind of, I'm not originally from Cornwall, so I kind of, whenever I moved to Cornwall, I looked around and said, like, what has some sort of history? Where is the history? And I was kind of guided towards the historic jail, which I think, to the best of my knowledge has been there for like 190 years or something like that. And my first thought was, is there anywhere to play inside of it? Like, has anybody ever done that? Assuming that somebody had already done that. And they told me that, to the best of their knowledge, nobody has ever performed, singing and playing guitar inside that historic jail. So I'm, to the best of my knowledge, the only person in 190 years that has ever done that. And how that kind of came to be is I reached out to a company that does a lot of the guided tours in there. Like they'll lock you in there for a night, and it's all paranormal stuff like that. And he so I got to go in there, and I went into, I guess, like the newer part of it, and I recorded 2 cover songs, Queens of the Stone Age song and Animals song, House of the Rising Sun. And then he brought me down to like the older wing of it, and all the lights were shut off. Everybody was out of the building, including himself. We just had a couple static cameras set up. All I could see was a little bit of a blue light from the cameras. And yeah, it was around 3 a.m, just before, I think 2 days before Halloween. So it was definitely a pretty cool experience. And I played my song Shallow Holes, which you can find like on any of my socials and stuff like that. Anybody that looks at that video, I was completely alone in the dark, nobody else in this, reportedly haunted jail. So stuff like that, like I said earlier, like I kind of value experience as my currency. So those are things that I'm interested in. Same with the Great North Wrestling Show. Those are things that interest me, is performing in a little bit different of a scenario or situation. Although playing at pubs and stuff like that is great. I would rather give somebody a little bit more of an experience. So the goal at the jail is to perform in the courtyard in the nicer weather, and have people in there that could hear my band play. But yeah, it was definitely a pretty cool experience, man. It's like I said, I don't think anybody's ever done that. And definitely there were some interesting things that happened that night. I wouldn't say that I saw any spirits, but there's definitely some interesting things that happened. And I think your senses are a little heightened whenever you're in that situation, completely alone in a, reported haunted jail that's been around for, 190 years. You definitely your mind plays tricks on you.
And I have to ask as well, because I do know some of the listeners that are watching right now are probably intrigued as well. What are some of the different things that you actually encountered in there? Were they just like slight things that could have been a mere coincidence, or were there some things that really raised your eyebrow, being like, you know what, is this guy gonna let me out of here soon? Like I feel like I'm not alone.
Yeah, well, there was two two situations. And first of all, I didn't see a ghost. I didn't see, well, I don't know if I did, but there was the first situation. It was in like a darker section. It just looked like there was a shadow that kept going back and forth like this. But also, man, it's, 3 a.m. It's dark. I'm sure your eyes just play tricks on you. The other part was whenever we shut off all the lights, and what we were going to do is just film myself on the security cameras. So just kind of walking around playing guitar to use as kind of a B-reel for the video that we did. And at the end of the hallway, it looked like a shadow was with like a head poking out of the hallway. And I thought, oh, it's just a shadow. And then I saw it disappear and then come back again. But like I said, I'm not saying that I just, distinctly saw anything. I'm sure at that time of night, your eyes play tricks on you, but it was definitely two situations that kind of, because none of that, I don't have, a fear of any of that. So it's not like I was, looking for anything. So seeing two kind of odd things, it was definitely kind of interesting that you kind of say to yourself, like, what was that? But like I said, I'm sure it was just my eyes playing tricks on me, man. But it was definitely a cool experience.
And while we're actually on the topic of just like shows and performing, I do know you actually have quite a few gigs actually coming up all around Ontario. I was wondering if you can actually just tell us a bit more about these up and coming shows, and of course, where will Parliament of Owls be next, and of course, what can our listeners actually expect from these up and coming performances?
Well, when I perform, generally, if I want to play a show, I want to do it with my band. I have two extremely talented guys that play in my band. It's just a little difficult to, I guess, coordinate everybody's schedules all the time. That's always where I want to play, because I think that that's the true Parliament of Owls sound. And anybody that listens to any of my music, there's loud drums, there's synthesizers, there's, thick bass sounds. So that's how I want to portray my sound. Unfortunately, for a number of different reasons, it just doesn't quite, I'm not able to stay active and play in the band as much as I would like. So I strip it down and I play just solo performances, which are definitely a lot more stripped down. Some of the songs translate really well, like Shallow Holes translates really well. Other ones, not as much, and I kind of leave them out of the set. But coming up, the next show is December 8th in my hometown of Pembroke, Ontario at Lasso Live. It's for a band called The Breaking Waves. They have a single coming out, so it's in support of them. It'll be a solo show. I got one coming up in Hudson, Quebec, I think on the 15th or 16th. Then I think Broadhead Brewery in January in Ottawa, or in Orleans, and Overflow Brewery. I'll be doing their indie showcase in January as well. There's a couple shows kind of in the works that I'll be able to have my band. So those ones I'm really looking forward to, because if you get a chance to see us play, man, you want to see the whole show. Like I said, it's kind of the better representation of the music that I'm trying to make, and the way that we're trying to kind of get that out to the ears.
And also as well, December 1st, you actually released an amazing single titled No Friend of Mine. I was wondering if you can actually just tell us the story behind the lyrics of this amazing song, and of course, where can we actually purchase ourselves a copy of it today? Because if I'm not mistaken, I think you can actually get it on your website.
Yeah, that's true, man. So No Friend of Mine's my latest release. I have this one that's coming out for this month, and come January, I have another release coming out as well. Not until, but as of right now, you can get it exclusively on my website, which is www.parliamentofowls.bandzoogle, BANDZOOGLE.com. So you get as low as 99 cents. It's going to be available streaming come December 8th. So this Friday coming up, it'll be on all streaming sites. But yeah, on my website, 100% of the proceeds go to me. It really goes a long way to help kind of grow my merch line and to be able to record music again. So if you guys want to hear it, check it out there. Now, Now, I guess the story behind the song, it's I'll leave it kind of vague. I won't say exactly, kind of my thoughts on what it may be about. I never like to do that. I think as soon as I'm done recording anything, it kind of belongs to everybody else. So it's how everybody kind of perceives it when they listen to it. But I guess kind of the story involved with the song is pretty clear cut. Now you can kind of transpose what situation it might kind of affect for you, but it's basically of having somebody that you could trust, that you're now cutting them out of that situation for whatever reason. So that could apply to relationships gone wrong, say work relationships, business relationships, friendships, music relationships, anything like that. That we all have that one person that at one point was a friend of yours, and you cut them out because they've done something to kind of warrant that. So it's definitely something that I think all of us could relate to, because I find it really hard to believe if you've made it through life and you don't have that one person that you said, you know what, I'm done with you, you're out.
And the one thing I have to ask, because obviously I know you have your guitar hooked up, you have everything ready to go. If you can definitely pass on this, but I was wondering if you are willing to, would you actually want to play this brand new song for our live audience tonight?
I would love to, but I'll be honest, here at Parliament of Owls studio, we have neighbors. They're a little bit older, and I think they like their shut eye around this time of night. So I don't think they want to hear me blasting my voice out. But another time, I would be honored to play it for you, man.
I definitely agree with that, because I do notice it is 9:58, and I will admit I'm so used to interviewing people from like California and all over, so normally it's like dinner time. Mm-hmm. But I just remembered, it's like, yeah, I forgot Pembroke, Prescott, right around the same area, man. So definitely. But I will say though, this song is absolutely phenomenal. We have been playing it actually in our radio station airwaves, and we've been getting phenomenal reviews, man.
Good, man. I'm glad that people like it. It's always I think kind of the most difficult part, in my opinion, of releasing music is that vulnerability that kind of comes with putting it out there. You get good feedback, you get bad feedback, you get no feedback at all sometimes. I know that I kind of had put that song out there to, a large group of friends and people that I'd like to know their opinion. And it's always tough sometimes, because you'll get some people that you'll say, I'm sharing this with you, nobody else has it yet, I'd like you to listen to it, and you don't even hear a peep back from them. So you think like, oh, I guess I'm terrible, but I'm glad that you guys are enjoying it. I'm excited for it to kind of go to streaming as well, that everybody could listen to it. I think it's a good song, man. I know that I'm proud of it. I hope that other people could enjoy it. I know that whenever it's about time that I release a song, I've heard that song in my head millions of times. So I'm excited for other people to now hear that. And yeah, like I said, man, I hope that other people could enjoy it, because I think it's good.
And obviously we just talked about the story of No Friend of Mine. Obviously we talked about your amazing up-and-coming shows. But what is next for yourself, Wade of Parliament of Owls? Like, is there anything we happen to miss during this evening's interview? Anything else you do still want to touch on, talk about, or promote? We still got you here live on the radio station airwaves tonight.
There are some things that are definitely coming up in the new year that I kind of don't know how much of it I want to share, but I know that coming the new year, it's going to be a pretty busy time for me. I know that there's a couple what I consider high-profile, unique shows that I'm working on. I know that there is one, and I won't go into it, but it's definitely has a Johnny Cash, Folsom Prison Blues feeling to it that I hope we can kind of get across the finish line. I'll be working with who you had on the show last week, I believe. Jake DeMarsh. Me and him are going to be putting together something in the new year that I think will have a really good cause. Also, I'm working on right now it's going to be a web series, and it's going to be profiling small businesses. So how that's going to look is I'm going to be profiling, sitting down with the owner, profiling these small businesses, And then at the end of it, it's going to be kind of a pop-up show where I'm going to perform in these small businesses, whether it be a donut shop or a dog daycare center, stuff like that. So hopefully that'll be interesting to watch. And yeah, just keep pushing shows. Hopefully kind of expand the reach. It's always difficult, as rewarding as it's been for me, kind of putting the line in the sand saying I'm doing this. It's also been difficult because nobody knows who I was. Nobody knows who I am. Nobody cares about that. So to get as much exposure as you can to get your music in as many years is challenging. I think, the way that the music industry is nowadays, you'd think it would be a lot easier, but it still is pretty challenging to kind of get that to people's ears. So I rely on, people to kind of help spread my message for whatever that is. If you like my song, share it with somebody. Right now, I just want more exposure so people could kind of, more people could enjoy my music and kind of what I'm doing. And yeah, hopefully I can play some shows with my band soon, because that's my favorite. And like I said, that's definitely the best representation of Parliament of Owls music. We're pretty kick-ass.
And obviously, Wade, before we actually part ways here this evening, obviously I know how to follow you on social media, but for the individuals that are just discovering yourself and Parliament of Owls here tonight, how can they go about following not just yourself, but of course the band across all social media platforms if they're not already doing so?
Yeah, Instagram, I'm at Parliament of Owls Music. My YouTube, I think is Parliament of Owls Music as well. Yeah, if you want to follow me on Facebook, it's just Wade Barras. TikTok, I believe it's Parliament of Owls Music as well. But Instagram, you can kind of get all that stuff off that. So the Instagram, Parliament of Owls Music. My website, like I said before, is you can find videos and all my music on there. Also my merch. I have a t-shirt, the Regal Owl t-shirt that I'm very proud of. You can buy my shirts there as well. Hopefully in the new year I could kind of expand on my merch line and have a few different options. And yeah, like I said, it was www.parliamentofowls.bandzoogle.com. And yeah, you can find my new single, No Friend of Mine, there for as low as 99 cents.
And I gotta say, first and foremost, Wade, thank you so much for giving not only myself, but the radio station Airways a bit of your time, man. It was super nice seeing you again. Hopefully down the line we can make this happen again sometime soon, but for now, definitely have yourself a phenomenal Sunday night, whatever is left of it, because I know we got 2 hours left, but we definitely shall talk here soon, Wade. Thank you so much again.
Awesome. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate what you're doing. You're doing a good job, buddy.
Hey, man, I appreciate that, man. It's feedback like that fuels me to keep doing what I'm doing, man. So thank you so much for the compliment, Wade. I appreciate that.
Everybody needs to hear that.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Wade. You as well, man. Thank you.
All right.